Good afternoon, everyone. Happy 4th of July, and welcome to the July 2013 Worldox Virtual User Group Meeting, a presentation of Attorney Computer Systems. I am Paul Perdue. I am the infrastructure nerd. I am joined today by Mary Jo Boyd, who is not a nerd, but instead is a legal technologist. And of course, we have our humble moderator, Leanne Cottrell, ready to answer your questions. And today we are talking about tags, which is a way to kind of zero in on certain things within your group of documents that you're looking at. Mary Jo's going to tell you more about that. And I'm going to talk about projects, which is a way to take documents that may or may not be in the same place and put them in kind of a folder, if you will. We call it a project. So you can pull documents from a wide variety of places and put them together because they have some commonality. I'll talk more about that after Mary Jo talks about tags. But of course, first we want to do the little bit of preamble for our new users today, people who have never been with us for a virtual user group meeting. You are probably either looking at this or you already know how to press this button and get rid of it, because this is the GoToWebinar control panel. It's within this picture viewer. What you're looking at would be this right here. This is something that comes up when you join our webinar, and clicking this button that looks like arrows pointing to the right will get rid of that. It'll cause it to shrink out of the way, and this button bar will still be here, but it will then, this top button will then be arrows pointing to the left, which will allow you to pull this back into focus. You would want to pull that back into focus in case you're feeling shy but still have a question to ask. You can pull this back out so you can see it, type a question here, and Leanne, I believe I already mentioned our humble moderator, will recognize that you're wanting to ask that question. She'll interrupt Mary Jo or myself at the appropriate time, and she will ask that question on your behalf. Be certain that if you have follow-up questions, to keep asking them. Don't walk away without understanding fully what it is that you want to understand fully. Keep asking those questions, and Leanne will keep presenting them to us until we get your question answered fully. The other way that you can ask a question, if you're not feeling shy, is to click this button, which looks like a hand with an arrow pointing upwards in front of it, which means raise your hand. Same thing will happen. Leanne will recognize that you'll have a question, but instead of reading it on your behalf, she will unmute you, and we can talk directly to you. So without any further ado, but don't touch that mute button, Mary Jo, because I visited a client last week who had been to one of our Worldox virtual user group meetings, and she was very excited that she had used display, help me out here, there we go, display, and she had saved a window style, and she had basically rearranged these columns, maybe reorganized them, maybe added a column that wasn't there, maybe taken one off that was there that she didn't want, and it was perfect. It was coming back up every time she opened Worldox. It was organized the way she wanted with the right sort and the right columns, except she had added the to and the from so that emails would show those fields, and she had made them a little bit bigger than they first came in, and every time she pulled it up, they were back to being scrunched down, and this description field was instead taking up most of the space. And I helped her to figure out, or she helped me to figure out, or we both helped each other, that if we go into Preferences, under Edit, Preferences, Worldox, and click on File List Options, one of the options is Column Headers Size Automatically. And this defaults to being yes, but if we double click on it, we can change it to no. And I'm not going to change mine because I don't want it to be that way. And once we did that, and we resized those columns that one last time and resaved it, every other time that it came up exactly the way she wanted. So if you're having that same problem where you've added some columns and resized them and they're not coming up in exactly the same size that you had expected them to, click on Edit, Preferences, Worldox. Be sure to go to the File List Options. I think you have to scroll down, and it's called Column Headers Size Automatically. Now, if you're frantically trying to write this down, please be advised you can always see a recorded version of these webinars, these virtual user group meetings, a couple days after they occur, simply by going to our website at attorneycomputersystems.com Systems is plural, attorneycomputersystems.com, and clicking on the Worldox Virtual User Group meeting. That's where you go to sign up, but it's also where all of our recorded versions of prior episodes are kept. So now, without any further ado, I give you Mary Jo to talk about tags.
Okay, we've kind of been following our little shortcut button bar down here and doing some different topics on here, and many of you may have noticed this little one down here called tags. And there's a little filter, and that's because tags are used to filter current lists that you're looking at. So in this instance, I think we are just out here under a certain client, and I'm seeing all of the documents for that particular matter. And maybe I don't want to see all the documents. Maybe I just want to see all of the emails, or I just want to see all of the documents that I created, or things like that. You might want to filter this list out into groups, and you want to see that. So tags can help you do that. So any current list that you're on, whether it be within a matter, your favorite files, any of those things, you can sort using tags. And tags, you can quickly just check off the requirements that you want for your search. So if I wanted to see all the emails, I could come in and click on the emails, and now I'm down to just the emails. If I wanted to go to just my documents, I don't have any in this one, let's do Paul's. So I'm going to see all of Paul's emails. I can get a list of that. And I'm just adding filters as I go down this list. So I can take them off just as easily. And I'm going to take off Purdue. And so now I'm back to my main list. You'll notice on this tag menu here that you've got different options over here. If you want to see the type or the category or the doc type or the author or things, these are different designations. And different lists might have different lists over here that you can choose from. There might be a list that you're looking at that doesn't have any categories or doesn't have certain things, and then this list would change. So this just gives you what the available sorts are for the existing list up above. If you look at the type, you'll see that some of the type is larger than others. That means that there are more documents in that type than there are of another. So you'll see I've got email is quite large, but instruction or miscellaneous or notes is in smaller type. That means there are less documents in those types. If I hover over one of those types, I'll see how many I have. So if I want to know how many emails I have stored under that matter, I hover over email and I see there are 9 emails underneath this particular list. If I go to instruction, there's only 1. Same thing with documents created by Leanne or Paul or whatever I want. So I can quickly see how many of a certain document I have. So if I have to know how many for a certain report, I can do that. You can also search. I'm going to close this list and get a different one. If I run favorites, I know you can also do all. I'm going to just show all of my favorites. Tags are available on that as well, and you'll see I have different clients available on this one. And different clients have different matters, I should say, have different amounts of documents. I can see by the size of the type again that some matters have more documents than others. Sometimes you want to know all of the different types for all of the clients. If that's the case, you can actually do a search for all documents, or maybe you want to see all of the documents for one user, and then you want to, within that, do some search and filters. And you want to get all of them, not just for a matter. So I don't want to be in a matter when I'm looking at that list. I want to see all of the client files, or maybe all of the accounting files, or something like that. You can do a search first, and sometimes these searches might take a little bit longer, especially if you're searching for all clients or matters and files within all of that. But you can get a full list of every document out here, and then you can search tags. So if I don't know how long this is going to take, so hopefully it's going to be pretty quick. Okay, we're not too bad. So it's got 440 hits. Now, one thing to be aware of is, do you see how it has multiple pages up here? I'm on page 1, but there's next, next, next. If you're searching and you want to do tags for your whole database, every single document you have out there, you have to combine all the pages. So I'm going to just click that, and it's going to combine all of my pages into one. And then when I get that list and I do my tags, I'm actually searching and filtering through all of my documents out there. So now I can get a filter, and it's building that. It takes it just a second. And now I can see all of the clients, all of the types, all the categories. So if I needed to know across the board how many emails I had or how many pleadings I have, whatever, you can do that with your whole database of documents. So that's kind of cool. Then again, you can apply multiple parameters throughout, and I've got all of my matters listed there, and then if I get down a little further, I'll have my authors. So this is helpful if I needed to see all of the documents that Paul has done or that I had done. No matter who the matter is, I could sort by that. So that makes it very quick and easy to do that. So you can check all, you can uncheck all, you can do several different filter options in here, you can refresh your list. So I think that's just kind of a fun, fast way to get to the documents that you need. Any questions? All right, I'll turn it over to Paul.
No questions. Okay. Well, I'm going to talk about something a little different. I'm going to talk about projects. Projects are a way to take a bunch of documents that come from different places and put them together. Let's say, for instance, you've got an expert witness that is, let's say it's an expert witness and you've taken his deposition 7 times because the opposing counsel that you're up against right now has used him 7 times as an expert when he's been involved in litigation against your client. Those deposition summaries or any sorts of documents relating to that particular expert would probably be stored in each of the 7 matters for which he appeared. So let's say you wanted to take the deposition summaries from all 7 matters and put them together into one file list, into one handy place where you can see them all together. That's called a project. Now we have over in our system, we have a projects button, and it actually takes us to all the projects that we have set up in our system. For instance, I'm going to get rid of the navigation panel. We have Mary Jo and I both spoke at the Software Technology Forum this year, and so we had projects set up for each of our preparations for that experience. We have a content topics project that holds all the different documents related to the different webinars and virtual user groups. This is where we go actually to pick the topics for and to record the suggested topics for the virtual user group meetings. That's all they are. A project is just a way to pull many documents together that come from different places into one convenient list. A project is then stored with a matter or in your private files, or we actually have created a profile group that holds all our projects. So if we were to go back to projects, we're actually just looking at the projects profile group here, and it has 4 or 5 different projects in it that need to be, Mary Jo's laughing at me because I told her that I had stopped snoozing alarms, and here I am snoozing alarms, but we won't go there. So let's create one. Let's go to our favorite fictional firm, Purdue Law Offices, and we're going to pull them up, and we're going to pick some document from them that we want to put into this project. We're going to take the these 2 emails, one about a next visit and one about image files for trademark Yahoo. So we're going to mark those, and we're going to go down here to projects, and I have a project open right now, so I'm going to close that project, and I'm going to take these 2 files and I'm going to drag the 2 checked files down here. What you do is you open up your projects tab. If you're going to start a new project, you make sure it's empty, and you go to the first place where you're going to get some project files from, where you're going to drag files from, and you drag them down there. Now you'll notice that this email plus this image files email are both in there. Now you'll notice they're also still up here. They didn't move anywhere from Purdue Law Offices Matter 00. They're still there. And while I have this project open down here, I'm now going to go to the Scooby-Doo file, the Scooby-Doo matter, and I'm going to take this deposition summary and I'm going to drag it down here as well. So now our project has 3 files in it, a deposition summary, and the 2 emails that I got from Purdue Law. All I have to do now is save it, and I can save it wherever we want. We actually have a separate projects profile group. If you are not a Worldox administrator or don't know how to set up profile groups, we can do that for you. Or if you have a Worldox administrator in your firm, they can set up a projects profile group for you. Or you can put it in your personal or your user or your any place that it's appropriate. I'm going to put it here. I'm going to call it project for Worldox virtual user group meeting, and we're going to say the author is me. We're going to save it, and there it is. And now if I go back to my projects folder, I now have another project. And if I were to close this down here so it's empty, if I then double click on this project, bam, there it is. Now the project, if we go to Scooby-Doo in direct access, that deposition summary is still there. And if we go to Purdue Law Offices, those two emails are still there. But when we call up the project, it then has pointers, if you will, shortcuts, if you will. You don't see them as that, but shortcuts. I'm opening up the same deposition summary that lives in Scooby-Doo's Matter. If I were to open up this email, it would be the same email that lives in Purdue Law Office's Matter. If I were to open up this deposition summary and change it and then save it, it would be saved under Scooby-Doo, and my project would also now point to the new version. It's really just a collection of shortcuts to files that come from different places. Now, there's a couple tricky parts. The first one is that to start a project, you clear out your project folder, you get to where you want the first files to come from, Scooby-Doo for instance. You clear out your project area and you drag into it. If this project area has something in it and you drag into it, you're not starting a new project, you're adding it to an existing project. When this is empty, it means you don't have a project open down here. Yep, and it also says down here undefined. Now, the other thing to remember then is that if you want to add files to an existing project, you must first open that project. So if we wanted to take this project that we created for the Worldox virtual user group meeting and add a file from Scooby-Doo, we would first need to open it. And once we've opened it, we need to edit it. And once we've got it down there, we can go any place else up here and drag more files in. It's a little tricky because you think, well, okay, I've opened it. How do I get more stuff into it? Well, you still go back to the Project tab, and you'll notice when you do, just as we did, it's empty. So you need to edit the project that you've already got going. That dumps it all down here, and that gives you the chance to add a file. So if you say you want to add a file, you'll go someplace else. Let's say back to Scooby-Doo, and we'll pick something other than that deposition summary. How about that? We'll add that file, and now we have 4 files in our project, and now all we have to do is save it. When we click Save As, it'll let us either replace it or save it as a new project, just like saving a new document. We say OK, and now our project, if we go ahead and clear this out, and go ahead and go back to projects and open up this one, it now has 4 files in it. Questions?
No questions, Paul.
No questions. Boy, Mary Jo, we must have either put them to sleep or thoroughly explained what we were talking about. So, with that in mind, next month in our Worldox virtual user group meeting, we will be talking about 2 things as usual. We're going to talk about creating quick profiles for email. And those quick profiles, let's go in here real quick and just show you, because you may have seen this before. They are the profiles that appear under this Worldox folder. And we'll talk about what they are, what they mean, how to create them, how to work with them. And we're also going to talk about group security. Sometimes there are things that you can't do in here or files that you can't access, and that has to do with how group security is set up. Worldox is very, very flexible, allows us to say this person's allowed to do this, but these 4 people aren't. And so we're going to kind of talk about that so you have a feel for what you may be able to do that you may just not have unlocked, what you as an administrator can do as far as setting up users to do certain things or to lock down certain other things. So if you do run into any questions between now and then, please give us a call or shoot us an email. It's either maryjo.boyd, B-O-Y-D, and Mary Jo is all one word, and it's J-O-M-A-R-Y-J-O.boyd, or paul.purdue, like the school, not the chicken, P-U-R-D-U-E, paul.purdue@attorneycomputersystems.com. Thanks very much, everybody. Have a good afternoon, and we'll talk to you next month. Bye-bye.